I didn't believe in monsters. Not really. I work as a park ranger in the Appalachian Mountains. I know what kills people out here: dehydration, hypothermia, and bad decisions. Every year, hikers wander off the trail and go missing. Most of the time, we find them. Sometimes we don't. But 4 days before I called her, I saw something in the woods that shouldn't exist. And after that, I couldn't sleep without hearing screaming. The parking lot was empty when I pulled in. They'd closed the trailhead, and the whole place looked wrong somehow. Too quiet, too still. It was a gray morning, and fog drifted through the mountains in slow white waves. I stayed inside my truck for a minute, gripping the steering wheel tightly. 2 hikers had vanished on this trail in the past month, and I knew exactly what took them. Less than 5 minutes later, a beat-up van pulled into the spot beside me. A woman climbed out. She didn't look like the kind of person you hire to hunt monsters. No trench coat or weird occult robes. She wore hiking boots, torn jeans, and a tank top. Tattoos covered both arms, and she was tall with dark, messy hair. She looked more like someone who'd punch you in a bar fight than perform an exorcism. I grabbed my pack and stepped out. "Miss Romo?" "Call me Bea," she said. Her eyes flicked over me. Ranger uniform, beard, dark circles under my eyes like I hadn't slept in days. Which was fair. I hadn't. "You're Dustin?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am." "Any updates since we talked?" "No, nothing else." "Good." She strode toward the trailhead. "I'll start searching." I stared at her back for a second, mouth open. That was it? She really didn't waste time on small talk. I said. "I'm coming with you." She stopped. "You know how to fight monsters?" "No." "Then stay here." I swallowed. "Do you know how to navigate these mountains?" That got her attention. "People die out here without anything supernatural involved," I said. "They get lost, fall, or run out of water. I can't fight whatever that thing is, but I can make sure you get back after you deal with it." She studied me for a second, then shrugged. "Fine. Try not to do anything stupid." Then she climbed around the barrier and headed down the trail into the fog. After a moment, I followed. The deeper we went into the forest, the more wrong everything felt. The air was cold and damp, fog hanging between the trees while branches creaked overhead. Normally, I love this place. I'd worked these trails for 6 years, but after what I'd seen the week before, every shadow looked dangerous. I stuck close to Bea, but could she keep me safe? She wasn't even carrying any weapons. "Shouldn't you bring a gun or something?" I asked. "Nope," she replied. "Why? You carrying?" I shook my head. "No. The most dangerous thing I've got is bear mace. You think that'll help?" She shrugged. "Couldn't hurt." We kept hiking, and I tried not to think about the thing I'd seen on this exact trail. The second hiker had disappeared that afternoon. Young woman, hiking with friends. She'd been the last one in the group, and one of her friends had turned around to find she'd vanished. I joined the search before sunset. At first, I'd thought she'd simply gotten lost. Then I'd heard something moving behind me. I'd turned around and saw it standing between the trees, 7 feet tall, covered in matted brown fur with a hunched back and arms so long they nearly touched the ground. Its eyes glowed red, not reflected light, actually glowing. It had curling horns like a goat, and blood soaked the fur around its mouth. I'd stumbled backward and hit the ground hard. When I'd looked up again, it was gone. After that, the disappearances suddenly made a lot more sense. I hadn't told anyone what I'd seen. Instead, I'd gone home, drunk too much beer, and spent all night searching the internet for paranormal investigators. That's how I found Beatrice Romo Reyes, freelance exorcist and paranormal consultant. At the time, hiring her had felt insane. Now I wasn't sure it had been insane enough. "This is where I saw it," I said when we reached a dead tree covered in fungus. "It was somewhere off trail that way." Bea nodded thoughtfully. "How far does the trail go?" "Another mile," I said. "Ends at a viewpoint. You can see the entire valley. I go there sometimes in the morning when the sun's just coming up. It's tranquil, feels like you're the only person in the world." I realized I was babbling and snapped my mouth closed, but to my surprise, she smiled faintly. Sounds nice, she said. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a crystal hanging from a chain. I frowned. What is... Shh. She held the crystal still in front of her. A few seconds later, it began swinging on its own. Slowly at first, then harder. It pointed deeper into the woods. This way, Bea said calmly, pocketing it. I swallowed my questions, and we left the trail. The forest thickened fast, branches clawing at our clothes as we pushed through underbrush and stepped over mossy logs. The farther we went, the stronger the feeling became that something was watching us. Have you seen creatures like this before? I asked quietly. Not exactly. But you know what it is? I pressed. She shrugged. Sometimes things find their way into this world that aren't supposed to be here. I really hated that answer. A few minutes later, Bea stopped abruptly. What? I whispered. She angled right and picked up speed. Then I smelled it. Rot. Thick, wet, stomach-turning rot. Flies buzzed somewhere ahead. We pushed through a patch of ferns and found a cave hidden beneath tangled roots. Small entrance, easy to miss, impossible to ignore once you smelled it. Stay here, Bea said. Before I could argue, she crouched and disappeared inside. My heart hammered while I waited outside, staring at the darkness. Then she climbed out fast. Her face had gone pale. What is it? I asked. Bones. My stomach dropped. Human? She nodded once. Some fresh. I almost threw up. Bea rubbed a hand over her face. We wait here. It'll come back eventually. I doubt we'll be able to take it by surprise, but... Then suddenly she jerked up straight and hurled a fireball directly at my head. A literal fireball. Orange flames exploded toward me with a roar. This is it, I thought. I'm dead, killed by a shady woman I met on the internet, who's apparently pyrokinetic. But the fireball soared over my head and slammed into something behind me. A screech filled the air. I spun around. The monster stood 20 feet away, smoke rising from scorched fur across its chest. And this time I saw it clearly. Backward jointed legs, clawed hands, long twisted limbs bent wrong at the elbows. Its mouth stretched into a grin full of jagged teeth. Then it charged. I froze. Bea didn't. She stepped between us and blasted it with another wave of fire, bright enough to blind me. The creature vanished into the trees. Shit, Bea muttered. The forest had gone completely silent. No birds, no insects, nothing except our breathing. Then Bea shouted and spun around. The monster exploded out of the shadows behind her and slammed her to the ground. Its jaws snapped inches from her throat while she shoved against its face with both hands. Fire erupted around her fingers, burning its fur and filling the air with the stink of scorched hair. But the thing kept pushing closer. Bea's arm started shaking. She was losing. Hey! I screamed. The monster looked at me. I sprayed bear mace directly into its eyes. The creature shrieked. Bea kicked it off her and staggered backward. Then both her hands ignited. Not little flames either. An inferno. Heat stung my skin as she unleashed everything at once. Fire swallowed the monster completely. Its scream cut off mid-shriek. The smell hit a second later. Burning flesh and something fouler underneath. When the flames finally died down, the creature lay motionless on the forest floor, blackened, twisted, and dead. Bea sat heavily against a tree trunk, breathing hard. Sweat soaked through her shirt. Take a breath, she said. Try to calm down. What was she talking about? Then I heard it, a stream of panicked, curse words and nonsense coming out of my mouth. I forced myself to shut up and take deep breaths. Then I noticed the corpse. It was melting. The burned flesh collapsed inward into black sludge that soaked into the dirt. What the hell? I asked. Bea wiped sweat from her forehead. It didn't belong here. Within minutes, nothing remained except scorched earth. No body, no bones, nothing. Bea stood slowly and dusted dirt from her jeans. Come on, Ranger, lead us back. Shaking, I checked my GPS and guided us back the way we'd come. We reached the trail again less than an hour later, but instead of turning toward the parking lot, Bea kept hiking uphill. Wrong way, I said. The parking lot's back there. I know, she glanced at me. I want to see your overlook. By the time we reached the summit, the clouds had finally broken apart. Sunlight spilled across the valley below in long golden beams. Rolling forests stretched toward distant blue mountains, and a river cut through the valley like silver. The world looked normal again, peaceful, like monsters had never existed at all. Bea sat beside me on a flat rock overlooking the scene. "Feel better?" she asked. "A little." I stared out at the mountains. "None of this makes sense." Bea smirked faintly. "Did the world really make that much sense before?" I opened my mouth, then I closed it again. After a while, I asked quietly, "How do you deal with this stuff?" She looked out over the valley for a long moment. "Try to focus on the positive," she said. "What positive?" "You saved my life back there, and you called me in the first place, which means that thing will never kill anyone else. You did good." "I guess." I leaned back and looked out over the valley. It didn't look the same. Would anything look the same again? I groaned and stood up. "I need a drink." "Great idea." Bea stood too. "You're buying." There are places in this world where something waits in the dark. And sometimes people like Bea Romo Reyes are the only reason those things don't keep killing. Subscribe for more paranormal case files and supernatural encounters. And if you want to learn more about Bea and the dangerous things hiding beyond our world, check out the link in the description.